Okay, good evening. Welcome. Episode 22 of Let's Talk About from the Sports Therapy Association. Hope you are well. We are, as always, in case you're watching the recording, then it's 8 o'clock on a Tuesday evening, and that is where we hang out. This is the 22nd time now, which is incredible and kind of heartwarming. It's good. It's going very well. But yeah, we're here every Tuesday. So if you do want to join us live, if you're watching the recording, then that's where we are. It's open to non-STA members. You just join the group Sports Therapy Association, the page, and that's it. And then you can join in the conversation. You can see what the STA is about. But you get a chance to network and speak to other soft tissue therapists. It's not only sports therapists. Any soft tissue therapist is welcome. My name is Matt Phillips, and I host this. And yeah, looking forward very much tonight to talk about a very hot subject. There's been various splintered discussions going on during the week since this came out as what we were going to be talking about tonight. So I'm looking forward to it. As always, if you want to say hello, then just type your name in the comments and your photo and comment will come up. Hey, Keith, how you doing? I was picking Keith's brain earlier on. Earlier today, I had a little presentation workshop with some BTEC students doing BTEC level 3 sports. And we talked about decisions of going to university or not. And they're like 17 years old and not sure if I'm ready for that commitment yet. So whose brains did I need to pick? STA mentor, Keith, of course. So I was on his case for about a week, asking, not a week, felt like a week, I'm sure to him, but I'm just checking about things. So thanks, Keith, for that. I'm glad you could join us tonight as well. Mark is in the house. Hey, Mark, how you doing? Good to see you. We've also got Namir. How are you? Becky here of the Massage Collective. I hope you're all tuning into the Massage Collective. Brilliant. Thank you so much, Becky and Anna Marie and Matt. It's fantastic. It's what our industry really needs. And I'd say, obviously, Run Chat Live is my favorite podcast, but it's rapidly moving up the ranks. Definitely something which all soft tissue therapists need to be listening to, the Massage Collective. Follow them. And Becky doing a fine job controlling the other two. Emma, how are you doing? Good to see you back as well. Mike James is in the house. Fantastic. Good to see you, Mike, as well. We've been a bit ships in the night recently. I don't feel like I've talked to you enough. I haven't had you enough in my life. So I'm sorry about that, but I hope you're well, mate. Can't stop for long. See? Very busy man. Oh, he's writing his Run Chat Live presentation talk. That's fair enough. You go do that. Fly like the wind. Go away. Becky is in the house. Hey, Becky. Daniel's in here as well. Fantastic. I'm glad you can make it, Daniel. We're going to be listening to you a lot later on, I'm sure and hope, with regards to the topic tonight. There you go, Keith. Big Keith. What a bundle of advice and warmth. Always here for advice and guidance. And Jeanette. Fantastic. Right, we're going to have a little full house going on. I'm pleased, but I'm not surprised because the topic tonight is big. It's going to be all about, bring it up here, could, would sports therapy benefit from statutory regulation? It's a big topic and it really needs to be floor driven tonight. So if anybody out there has got any concerns, obviously the changes around the country with regards to COVID-19, people are very much concerned about their welfare and their choice of industry and everything. And a lot of the anger and frustration is mounting again. And in this time, I've seen across forums in the last week, the lens being put again on the professional representation. What are you going to do about it? What is it? And it's kind of, we understand that. And that's why we do these. And that's why we got Gary tonight to answer any questions you might have with regards to Sports Therapy Association representation. But we've also got, as you can see to my right here, the fantastic Chris Kitson, ex-osteopath, who is going to add an element to the conversation. Yes, he's not a sports therapist, but you know what? We're already entering the world where it doesn't really matter what you trained and what you call yourself. It's multidisciplinary. That's the future, guys. But Chris is firsthand going to be giving us a little bit of how sometimes it's not all grass is greener over the fence when you are an allied health professional or part of a statutory regulated kind of a body. There are issues and problems as well. Which Chris is going to be talking about tonight. And I'm sure there'll be parallels, even though it's from the osteopathy side, with potential sports therapy representation as well. So I think, let me just get rid of that rubbish on the screen. I just want to reiterate again, if you have got any questions or any doubts, use the panel tonight, people. This is all about you. We've got 2 people in the house who can answer you. We've got a wealth of experience. Plus, we've got people here like Keith and Dan and Becky and a lot of other people who are going to be help you as well. So please, please, please use that comment section. Right, enough blurb from me. Let me get rid of that and bring up the 2 main people in the show tonight.
Good evening.
There you go. So we're just leave Gary there to answer all the questions tonight.
Yeah, well, if you look at Daniel Gerber's comment there, I think we can all go home. What you really think you'll get as a statutory regulated profession is not really that good and very stressful. See you next
Good night.
Yeah, like I say, right. So yeah, we'll see you later, Gary. Take care.
Yeah.
No, we couldn't do that to him. Thank you, Gary, for joining us. Yeah, you're going to be busy tonight, aren't you? And Chris, let's go to Chris first of all. Chris, thank you very much. Thank you for joining us. I really appreciate it. It's always nice to have you here. Let's just, yeah, we'll come back to questions. I know I said let's welcome questions, but some people have got in there straight away with kind of, let's start off. I think Gary's going to have to start because, I mean, some of the comments I've seen across Facebook mainly have been, what is our association going to do about it? Why aren't we regulated yet? Isn't it about time our profession got recognised? Which are understandable, but there's a little bit of history there, isn't there, Gary, with regards to regulation of sports therapy?
Yeah, I mean, I've covered it. Seems like 100 times.
Doesn't
you know,
do it again.
I was updated in March, and I put a letter on our website. I wrote to the Healthcare Professionals Council and the Professional Standards Authority. If I reference anything tonight in regards to government white papers and HCPC meetings, etc., then I will. I'll put them in the comments. I'll just start by apologising to people who may have tried to get in touch with my STA Gary profile on Facebook today. Unfortunately, somebody's reported that profile and it's suspended at the moment. I don't know why. But it's just one of the things I have to put up with. So if you have messaged me, I will get back to them. I've been trying to get in touch with Facebook today to try and sort it out. I have had messages on my personal one, and I've been doing emails since it seems like 5 o'clock this morning. Yeah, there's a lot of chat. There's a lot of chat going about what's happening in Wales, what's happening in Ireland, what's happening if we go into tier 3. Can we? Can't we? Must we? Can't we? It's difficult, you know, trying to keep ahead of the guidance, abreast of the guidance is really difficult and stressful. And basically, I wish I lived in Wales, because they're the only ones who are giving what I see as clear guidance. I watched the update today with Jonathan Van Tam and the Prime Minister. And again, I'm still trying to come to terms with what they're trying to say. We'll have to wait and see whether we go into another lockdown. But yeah, I'll welcome any questions.
Let's start off, Chris. Okay, you were an osteopath, regulated, fantastic. How simple? Just one organising body monitoring everything, one fantastic quality, level of service and everything, all the support you can need. What made you leave? What made you back out?
So the feedback that I gave with my actual kind of leaving application, if you like, kind of to come off of the register, it started off with I can't identify myself as an osteopath anymore. So actually what I do, I just didn't feel was a reflection of what osteopathy was kind of putting out there, essentially. So you know, it was a case of I was having lots of different issues with CPD with different osteopaths, coming across things that were quite kind of outdated, if you like. And again, this is totally it's individual to the professional, again, rather than the profession. But there was lots of issues there where it was just a constant kind of, you know, dragging up of things and being like, come on, show, like, we're past this, you know, this is quite far behind now, and it's not just a new thing. And that's even in terms of from going through the qualification itself, there was quite a lot of frustrations even at that point. So it was probably about it being on my mind to make the decision for probably about 18 months. So it's quite a long time. I chatted with a lot of other professionals from different professions as well. So a lot of those being allied professionals, and a lot of them not as well, just to get different scenarios and opinions from different elements. And this is the thing. I think it's a case of it's just a massive hierarchy, isn't it, at the moment, or it seems to be, where we just need to kind of just flatten that out and just be like, right, okay, what actually needs to happen here? And with the GEOSC, it was very much kind of like, look, we are the we're right up here and you're down here. We'll do it, and that's how it is. There is absolutely just no kind of speaking back to it, really. So it's very much so kind of like, right, we are the powers that be, and therefore you must do. If you do not do this, then you're gone. So it is quite a harsh environment, really.
I guess that's one of the main problems, isn't it, with regulation, isn't it, Gary? Like, who the hell's going to stand up and tell a sports therapist what they're supposed to do and be? Who's going to take the lead seat? Has it been tried? Have people got together and thought, how can we do this?
If you go back to the original application for statutory regulations to the then HPC, the Health Professionals Council, which was 2008, the HPC told the original applicant to go away and consult with BASRAT and the Sports Massage Association, who were the sort of the other main professional membership associations in the industry. And the response to that was that the applicant preferred to maintain an elite status, and therefore there was no consultation took place. When the second application was made, it was referred back to the original consultation, which never took place. So, I can't see. If you think of the three main players, then in sports therapy professional memberships, that we've got the Society of Sports Therapists that have been around for 30 years. Historically, you could join with a diploma, you could join with a distance learning qualification, or you could join with a degree. In around about 2014, they said that they were only going to accept degree graduates for members, and they even went as far as to say that if you did a 2+1, i.e. a foundation degree with a top-up, that didn't meet their standards, and therefore you couldn't join with that, even though the assessment may have been similar to the full degree, and at the same level. They chose not to do, and to be fair, that was quite a good thing for the STA, because we started in 2013 and started getting a bit bigger in 2014, and we found the niche for people on a foundation degree or doing a 2+1 at a college or a college university, that we could represent them. And then you've got the Sports Therapy Organisation, which is linked to the Active Health Group in Manchester. They don't want to consult. My view, I suppose, being linked to a training provider can be seen as a conflict of interests. Where's the difference between the training provider and the professional association? But let's just hypothesize and say, if regulation occurred tomorrow, what would it look like? Now for the STO, their main training provider, the Active Health Group, wouldn't be able to run their level 5 diplomas. The society, they would have no problems because of the grandparenting route. We could say that anybody who's working in the industry and making a living from the industry, the precedent has been set, particularly in physio, where anybody with a bucket and sponge who ran onto a pitch was regulated with the profession. So if you've kept your paperwork and you can prove you're working in the industry, then you would be grandparented onto the register. But who would run it? I don't know. Financially, the society would lose out. They accredit 34 universities, and let's just say that each university they accredit has 30 people on, and I know some have in the hundreds, high hundreds, 175, 200 people. But let's just say that they have 30 students in the cohort. Each student will pay the society through the university £250 for 3 years membership, and anybody who's good at maths and does that comes to £255,000 over 3 years. If then at the society, just say they had 1,000 members, and their membership fee and insurance is £275, that's £275,000 plus the 255 from earlier, we're talking about £540,000 generated by sports therapists for the society. Are they going to want to lose that and hand that over to an all-encompassing council? That's why I don't think it will happen financially. Everybody would lose out, and I'm not precious about the STA to an extent. If we got regulation, I would willingly stand down and say, okay, I've done my job. I've represented you to the best of my ability. Now we've got regulation. Let's see how things go. I will then step back, play more golf and do things that I enjoy doing instead of getting them at 5 o'clock and answering emails.
Yeah. So essentially, it sounds like without any regulation, certain players have just become too big and they've got too much to lose by kind of like us all morphing together into one thing. There'd have to be a financial at the end of the day, it's a shame, isn't it? Money makes everything go round, but for it to happen, there'd have to be a financial incentive for a lot of people. Otherwise, although a lot of people say, "Oh, we'll do it for the love of the industry," it's difficult, isn't it? When you're just losing money, when your accounts are just going down. Can you see any solution at all, Gary? What do you think?
Well, I don't think there is a solution to the statutory regulation thing, simply because the government have said, and bear in mind, they said this when we had spare government time and machinery of government and money, etc. They said that they're not interested in statutory regulating any more professions. At the time, it cost £3 million. Estimates now it'll cost £5 million and take up 2 years of machinery of government, i.e. House of Commons time, House of Lords time, to discuss and debate and consult, etc. So they said that they don't want any more statutory regulation unless it can be clearly demonstrated that the profession presents a harm to the public. So if we want regulation, in theory, we've got to start harming the public so that we can regulate it. It's a bit of a catch-22 situation. And then the reforming regulation, I'll just go back to that. That was the Enabling Excellence White Paper of 2010, which I will link in the comments tomorrow. Then the Reforming Regulation white paper that came out, which I believe was 2017, 2018, it looked at other forms of regulation, and part of that paper said that it was down to the professional associations to be more regulatory in their role. And it did mention accredited registers. Now, I was involved with an accredited register when they first came out in 2011 as an advisor, and I don't think to this date that they do what they set out to achieve. I know BASRAT, they run a very successful accredited register for the sports rehabilitators. I investigated it. It's going to cost £20,000 a year to £20,000 for the first year to set up, require one member of staff working on it full time, and then £15,000 plus an amount per registrant every year thereafter. So, the STA can't afford to do that. Unless we put prices up in line with BASRAT and the society, £275 a year, including your insurance. And I'm not sure that our members would do that. So what we're looking at doing at the STA is to provide a more of a network, a community where we are supportive of each other, and we do regulate our members with regards to their CPD, and some of you will have got a Facebook message or an email or something recently saying we're auditing your Dropbox folder and you need to produce a CPD statement in line with our CPD policy. Okay, well, let's just check, because for all we know, no one in the rooms wants statutory regulation. So I'm just going to put that question out there, and I'm particularly keen on people out there who think that statute, because I have seen people on Facebook calling for it, saying what are
what are the people who speak for us going to do to help improve statutory regulation? So I'm interested if anybody in the room, or maybe people are watching the recording, you can always come in and put something in the comments or write to myself or Gary about what your goal is. What do you think you'd achieve? Your business would achieve from having statutory regulation. Looking in the room, I can see a few comments. I mean, let's give Daniel there. What do you really think you'll get as a statutory regulated profession? It's not really that good and very stressful. So Daniel obviously has seen that it hasn't really helped him much in his career. Chris, it caused you more problems, you think, than benefits overall, or?
Yeah, I think it totally depends on your reason for being in the business as well, doesn't it? So I mean, my priority was that I'm passionate about what I do. I like helping people. In terms of therefore bringing in terms of private practice, it might be a different scenario to some people. So within my business, I still do a lot of the training side of things as well. So I work on kind of the performance side for endurance athletes. And mix that in with therapy work as well as. So, my situation might be totally different to a lot of people's. So that's totally understandable. I think a lot of the time people come from a standpoint, especially within allied side of things, where they're like, well, we want insurance work, etc. And everything that I've seen on that side of things, the people that do the insurance work, number one, they get people in that don't want to be there. So they're just not getting those clinical success stories because those people are there to get there, however many sessions, 6 sessions, and go home so that they can get their insurance claim. So that's one side of things. And it's just that kind of side of things where even now they're starting to add fees onto that. Like we had a quick discussion before about with Gary as well. It's been going around quite a lot over the past couple of days where I think it's with health code. So they're now having to start paying extra fees to get this insurance work as well. It's just not as straightforward as it seems a lot of the time. I think it's very much on the surface of it. It looks so simple, and you can just sit back, watch clients just roll in, and in reality, it's just not the case.
Maybe chasing statutory regulation is a bit old school. Maybe, Anna Maria's got a great point here as always, obviously. Do we need statutory regulation or just better PA governance, which will nurture differences within the industry? Maybe the forward of our industry and other healthcare professions is embracing differences whilst it's kind of critically assessed and kind of regulated. And that's what we should be doing instead of all trying to sing from the same song sheet. What do you think to Anna's comment there, Gary?
Well, I think it's wholly in line with what the government want as well. If you look at the hierarchical system, the Professional Standards Authority are the people who oversee regulation. They police it with the General Osteopathy Council is part of that, and the General Chiropractic Council, HCPC. They have 15 regulated professions. Every forum that I read on social media from allied health professionals, they're whinging about everything. As Chris said, the insurance now has an admin fee for invoicing. That some of them are moving from 60-day payments to 90-day payments. I don't think insurance work is. I certainly wouldn't entertain it in my clinical space. Even the cashback schemes that everybody, I probably get 3 or 4 messages a week saying, "Oh, what companies accept STA members for the cashback?" And I've always said, look, if somebody comes into my clinic, they pay me, and if they want to try and claim it back, then that's fine. But I'm not interested in writing reports and trying to justify my treatments to an insurance company and a cashback scheme. We had a consultation with one of the biggest providers, cashback scheme providers, who contacted us to talk about sports therapy and sports massage and how they could guarantee a standard for their benefits. And after 18 months, they said, well, we've decided that, thank you very much for your information and your assistance. What we've decided to do is limit sports massage to that delivered by allied health professionals, because it would just be too costly if we let anybody do it. So, the insurance companies are keen to take your money. They're not so keen to pay out on the benefits. But back to the original question, because I digressed a little bit there. Yes, it's in line with what the Professional Standards Authority is saying. Let the professional associations be more involved in regulation. I like to think that the STA, during this pandemic has been as supportive as we can be, not just with, phone calls and things, but, we mentioned last week on the CPD chat that, we've remained flexible. People have contacted me saying, well, I booked 2 CPD courses this year, but they've both been cancelled. How can I fulfill my obligation? And we spoke about the free to access stuff that we've got on our website, and these chats that they're good for your development. But I'd like to see professional associations collaborate more and have a standard. And Anna Maria and I have spoken at length about, trying to set a standard or to list the occupational competencies for the advanced soft tissue therapists and for the sports therapists, and seeing if we can find, where the gaps are, and that might then sort of identify where we would like to train, because some graduate sports therapists don't have the advanced soft tissue skills. Some advanced soft tissue practitioners don't have the clinical reasoning and the sort of graduate knowledge, if you like. So there is a crossover, but I think we should be working a lot closer together, strength in numbers.
I'm hopeful, because one thing we've all definitely agreed on is therapists pre-COVID. I think during COVID, therapists have come together more. We're kind of talking more. We're looking how as individuals we can come together to give each other advice and help each other through and learn. We've kind of had to. We've been forced into this horrible situation with some suffering more than others, but everyone's kind of trying to help each other, which is great. Maybe, and this is going to sound a bit hippie, but if this is sort of like a line from Rocky, if we can do it and the therapists can do it, then maybe the associations can do it as well. Maybe the therapists, by talking to each other, just because you're in a different kind of professional association group, if therapists start talking to each other and saying to their leaders, why aren't you guys talking and sorting it out? Wouldn't we be stronger joined together? Maybe that would be the pressure which would bring some organizations which traditionally see each other as a threat, this is all my income, to actually talk and think, what, maybe we can sort something out. Maybe we should be kind of doing something to join each other. Is that too hopeful, do you think? Or do you think it's something that could happen, Gary? His face is all. Anyway, so to you, Chris.
I admire your optimism.
I
just think there are too many, I hate to use the phrase, but there are too many egos in this industry. People who are not in it for the right reasons. I'm here to support members. I spend a lot of my time supporting members. Other people don't. And, I think that comes across when, I get personal messages and when we get a review on Facebook, it might compare us to somebody else. It would be great if it happened. I was just reading through some of the messages that are coming through.
That's a really good one.
We've
got some. What should I highlight? You tell me.
Yeah, Louise said that she believes that her clients still come and see her. They're not interested in statutory regulation. They probably don't understand it anyway. Clients, you build a relationship with your clients, don't you? And if you're statutory regulated or not, it's that relationship you build with them that has the effect. And some of the work we've been doing on social media recently is about, clients come to see you. You are the person that facilitates their improvements and getting them better, not necessarily, what you do with your hands, what you do with an ultrasound machine, etc. They come and see you because they invest in you because you invest in them. And I think that sometimes the statutory regulated professions don't get the time, in the NHS, you've got to look at, the average physio appointment is about 11 minutes. How can you treat somebody? How can you find out about them in 11 minutes and do your paperwork and change your PPE?
Yeah. We've sort of asked a little bit of this from Carl here, but I think it's a common question, the idea that statutory regulation would open up the job market and would kind of sit better in the eyes of other professionals who traditionally would go to physio and never consider a sports therapist. But do you think what we're talking about would still help change the sort of our impression, the way we have on other job markets, to open that up? Or
I don't think so, because if you just look at that we'll take those one at a time. Professional sport, A lot of what happens in British athletics is a direct result of a relationship that British athletics had with Joan Watt when she was at the Sports Massage Association. Now she's their honorary president. You know, a lot of what happens in professional sport is built on historical relationships, not necessarily the title. You know, I challenge discriminatory policies in job adverts. It say you have to be a member of this, that, or the other. And even if it says you have to be an STA member, I will write to them and say, no, you don't have to be an STA member. You should be a member of an association, but it doesn't matter which one. You know, the best person for the job is the best person for the job, irrespective of whether they have an allegiance to STA, SST, STO, SMA, etc. We've covered insurance work with Carl. You know, it's not all it's cracked up to be. It's getting worse because of the admin charges and delayed payments. And what we're seeing in the NHS, 71% of NHS physio roles have gone in the last 10 years. That was a study that I read last year, so it's a little bit out of date. But what we are seeing, the increasing number of primary care trusts are employing sports therapists, sports rehabilitators as physio assistants on half the wages of what they would have to pay a physio. So, you know, we can see that we are getting opportunities, but it's not necessarily because of our skill. It's a cost-cutting exercise.
I think Matt Scarsburg opens his mouth and talks sense most of the time, doesn't he? So he's had I'll paraphrase because it's the bit in the middle where he actually says something interesting. But he says, sorry, Matt, but he was saying like a shift towards being more evidence-based, which is obviously what drives his Massage Collective and everything, is the best way we can actually be taken seriously by industries. I don't know, trying collectively to stop promoting. I mean, if you really enjoy, I've got to be careful what I say now here, but maybe if you enjoy cupping and all the kind of visually stuff that looks great on Instagram and the needling and stuff, it looks really impressive. But I personally think that the more elite, if professions are looking to who we need to look after our team and represent us, if they see that sports therapists are using, or looks like they're using this stuff all the time, then I worry that they're going to take us less seriously with all the gimmicks and the stuff. And I'm biased because I'm probably too evidence driven and I probably ignore a lot of stuff because I think it's a bit of pseudoscience. But I mean, Chris, have you found in your career, you mentioned that some of the CPD and stuff that was being promoted by your regulator, you felt was a little bit old, traditional, unevidence-based, maybe proved wrong. Is that what drove you a little bit? Do you think sports therapy needs to follow the same kind of path if it's going to be taken seriously?
It was just kind of, when you were saying this, I was just kind of picturing myself when I'd open up my copy of the Osteopath that comes through, and flick through and read the different articles, and then go through to the CPD section and just have this kind of like, again, it's just the same old stuff again and again and again, and it's there's not one course in there that I'd be like, that's actually that's a racing course. But for me personally, obviously that's totally different per professional. But there was not one time that I literally looked in there and thought, do you know what, that I'm really impressed that is there, and because it's so up to date with where everything's at, and it will drive the profession forward by having those sorts of CPD courses to bring knowledge up and highlight those important points. And I think within the industry as well, it's very much on Keith's chat the other week when I was watching, and he made a fantastic point of actually, I think there's a lot that we've not explored within our own industries yet. So there's so many opportunities out there that are just not being taken either, and like we're waiting for someone to just give it to us. And actually, it's getting out, it's networking, and it's asking those hard questions of people, and like Gary's doing, and being like, do you know what, they've put this on the job title, on the job description, but I'm going to contact them, I'm going to speak to them and say, what is it that you need? And then I will identify whether I can offer that to you or not, and that's the right person for the job. It's not what that title says.
I mean, it happens across all professions. I still remember, and it wasn't, well, actually it was about a year ago now, and I still tell the story because that's kind of old and boring, but I remember somebody coming to me, it was a first year physiotherapist on training, and they questioned it because they'd been given an assignment by their lecturer saying, okay, role play, you've taken over a football team who are suffering from injuries, write down the stretching program you would give them to stop them from being injured. And of course he was like, is this a test? Do they want me to say, you don't need a stretching thing, you actually need to be doing strengthening? And I was like, I don't know. You could go back and ask them, but I don't want to say yes, dismiss the whole of stretching and say maybe we need to assess them to see what the problem is first, rather than just, or maybe, and I consulted a few other lecturers of physiotherapy, and they say, you know what, they probably just want an essay on stretching because that's still what they teach a lot, So I think sports therapy, being kind of the newish kid on the block still, has got, like you say, so much to offer by actually doing what you said, saying, you know what, you might not need that. The sponge might not quite be magic. I recommended someone the other day they said, I need a physio. And I said, well, maybe you don't need a physio. Have you ever thought about a sports therapist? And they're like, well, what's the difference? And I explained. He said, at the end, he just said, I don't care, just send me someone who can look after my team on a Saturday. But I kind of highlighted it to him that it does matter. If you assume you need a physio, you're probably getting a lot of people potentially could be really good. But yeah, I think sports therapists, but again, you need to be promoting stuff which is evidence-based. Because otherwise it's tricky, isn't it? You could say we could try this, we try sticking needles in here and stuff, but it's like a triangle, isn't it? Sports therapy has got to promote itself with the stuff at the bottom, which we know has got quite a lot of support. And then we've got loads of tools at the top as well, which could work. Why not? We may as well try. But so I agree with you, Matt. It's really important.
Do you think within just looking at like some of the comments as well, in terms of when it comes to actually the different professional titles as well, within soft tissue therapists and sports therapists, and there's almost, so in the comments here, it's kind of like, are the public, are they confused as to the difference? And I think that's definitely an aspect. But then also as an osteo, people don't even know what an osteopath is either. Do you know what I mean? And like when we did at the end of our degree, we did an interprofessional workshop. So we had all different professions come together. It was such a good idea. We were given a case and we all worked as one multidisciplinary unit, basically, to help this hypothetical family. And it was such a good idea. And I was speaking to everyone around the table and no one had a clue what an osteopath was. And this is physios and everyone as well. They were like, is that backs? And you still get it. You get it in every profession, don't you? I had within, it was actually part of my FCC, so my final exam, and my patient asked me, so what's the difference between a physio, a chiro and an osteo? And I had my examiner there as well. And I was like, it depends on the professional. So for me, really, it totally just depends on that professional, what they've done, what it is that they're keeping up to date with everything, and that's going to drive. There might be certain differences between the different ways that we might approach someone, but essentially it should all kind of come from the same place. And I basically got a bit of a rollicking, let's say, after for giving that answer. And just because they were like, no, it's sort of rubbish. It's all very much, it's more of a holistic approach to everything in osteopathy. And it's like, you know what? I think a lot of the time, from what I've seen in different professions, it's very easy to give lip service to things. So when we talk about the biopsychosocial model, especially, and just being like, let's just talk about it. We won't do any of it, but we'll just talk about it. And you see that everywhere, don't you? So I think it's definitely a big issue within a lot of professions. So.
Have you seen this comment here, Gary? I quite like. Well, obviously, it's Mike again. Mike Grice says, if the government made the small change to the guidance that sports massage therapy, who are members of professional bodies, can continue to practice, that would sort a lot of things out. Because you don't have to be a member of a professional association, do you, to practice?
No, I just admire Mike's optimism.
Marvelous. That big if.
Yeah, it's good to see Jack Chew just briefly in the house as well tonight. It would be a lot simpler if that was the case, but I was tagged in some post today on another forum on Facebook, and everybody, it was about, oh, can somebody give me guidance on what PPE I should be wearing, and I thought we'd flog that horse to death, in the recent months. And somebody had put, well, listen to what your association's telling you. Well, I'm not a member of the association. What a waste of money that is. Well, that's fine. You don't have to pay your money, but you don't get our advice. And I've stopped recently putting all of my advice and guidance on all of my group pages now, because I was just getting vilified, particularly when we announced our PPE guidance. Some allied health professionals were saying we're overcautious and we weren't going into chemical warfare, but I argued that we actually are, and and I'm now proven right. And you go back to March and look at one of the first ones of these that we did. I said, look out the end of August, mid-September, because we're going to be at this again. And now Wales has gone into lockdown, and there are differences between professional associations, and one of the things that was brought up today was about BASRA. Why are sports rehabilitators different to sports therapists? And I asked that question on the Physio Support Forum today. Why are they classed as different? But if you look at their statement, what they're actually saying is they're using a similar flow chart to they used in the original lockdown, where they have to assess virtually the client, and they have to go through a number of processes before they can agree to a face-to-face, which should be essential. So they are. In fact, the society have said similar tonight. I've just seen a screenshot of something that came out tonight, so that they are being a little bit more direct with their guidance. But as somebody put on the forum, we all know that they're going to be seeing regular clients anyway. That they will justify that it's essential. But who decides what's essential? For me, what is essential is my health. So I don't want to see anybody with a bad leg or a bad back, simply because I'm more concerned about my own health than theirs at this moment in time.
It's a good point. It's a good point. Let's there's a lot of comments coming in. So guys, if you see something that I'm missing, because we've all got our biases, I'm just going to skip past him, skip past her, skip past that. No, let me know if there's someone there who you think is a good comment that we should bring up, because I want to make sure that we get through some of these. They're talking amongst themselves again. Keith's getting political.
There's certainly talk of like with Matt Scarborough bringing up, in terms of does it all just get platformed under like MSK therapy? Are we just MSK therapists? And that's certainly a term that I've used for myself. Again, it kind of comes with certain confusion from the public, more so, just not knowing again what exactly it is.
It is tricky. What do you call yourselves these days, Gary? Not what other people call you. What do you call yourself?
Knackered.
Master in knackered. It is tricky, isn't that thing? I mean, that's part of the problem as well. Yeah, the public, we've got to think what the public need, like you just say. Yeah, MSK therapist sounds kind of, but what does that mean to the public?
Well, if we look at titles, then, the awarding bodies have to shoulder some of the blame here, I think. That, when a certificate becomes a diploma becomes a certificate becomes an award. We're talking about, one of Keith's comments earlier was that there are no qualifications in soft tissue therapy. Well, there actually are, Keith, because what used to be a level 3 sports massage certificate is now a diploma in soft tissue therapy, in brackets, sports massage or non-pathological or something like that. So the awarding bodies are muddying the waters. So if we went back to a system where an award became a certificate, became a diploma, became an advanced diploma, which was the hierarchical system back in the day, then I don't think we'd have a lot of this ambiguity about who can do what. So it's a difficult one. I like reading Matt's comments on some of these forums, because he's got a very good way of getting his point across without being dictatorial, if you like, and he asks a question of the original poster, which I like, rather than a certain Mr. Meekins who just rolls a hand grenade into a room and steps back. But
I never noticed that.
Yeah, there was a comment earlier about titles as well. Probably we need more titles, more specific titles, and I think that's a valid point. I might have a member join and they say, yes, I've just passed my level 3 soft tissue therapy course. And then I look at their Facebook profile and it's GB sports therapy. Well, if you just pass your sports massage, you've only got one occupational competency. To be a sports therapist, there are 14. So I don't know whether therapists are confused because of their title, because of their award title, but the public are definitely confused about who's the best person for the job. And going back to one of the comments earlier, it's they come and see me because of me, not because of my title, not because of my allegiance to an association, not because of whether I'm regulated or not, because I can facilitate an improvement for them. So if I was going to use a title for myself, it would be facilitator.
Facilitator. At least a little bit open there, doesn't it? Let me facilitate you with that. So I don't know. It's just
it does with them beards.
Oh, well, anyway, so just because he can't grow one, listen to him.
You've given me so much stick over the years for this.
Well, it's 8:47. Let me see if people are in there. Okay, so let's say that statutory regulation is just not going to happen. Okay, and we're kind of suggesting that in that case, we just need to sell our profession a little bit better, educate the public a bit more. Like Chris, you said, Mike James's expression of the big rocks, looking at the things which we can do better and help the public. What do you think? Well, I'll ask each of you, and then we'll also open it to the floor. What are those big rocks? What would obviously it depends on the person, what would the biggest rock you think we can do to help sports therapy progress in the eyes of the public and also the people who are going to employ us? What should we be doing individually to try and help our profession? Either of you can go first.
I'll have a stab at that one then. I think that in this day and age, we are social media driven, and we should be using our social media to get the information out there. If we've got a Facebook page, we can make an announcement, and you might be a level 3 sports massage therapist, or you might be a graduate sports therapist. Put on there a descriptor of what you are and what you do, and stick to that. Don't try and be something that you're not, because I think that's where we've fallen down in the past, where we're trying to elevate our importance to a level instead of recognizing what our remit is. And if I was a level 3 sports massage therapist who trained after 2014, then I'm only applying sports massage techniques. And if somebody came to see me with an injury, what I would be doing is looking at my local network and saying, right, okay, Chris is more experienced than I am. I'm going to send you to see Chris. He'll do the assessments for you. He will let you know what's going on. See how you get on with Chris, and if you want to come back for a regular massage, feel good massage, maintenance massage, call it what you like, then I'm the person for that. And then when Chris gets a client who said, comes in and said, I'm kind of looking for sports massage, Chris might say, well, I specialize in conditioning for endurance athletes, but I know you can go and see Gary who does sports massages. So if we stick to what we do, what our qualification entitles us to do, and put that information out there, we start to educate the public.
Very good. I like it. Yeah. I wish Facebook would come up with something like that. Maybe just an easier way for professionals to kind of have a little CV, or that'd be good. I like it. Chris, over to you.
Yeah, I mean, there's certainly a lot of reflection on what Gary said there. Definitely, essentially, it's scope of practice, isn't it? That where it sits into is absolutely massive, and you get it again, not just in therapy world either, across over in the fitness profession over here as well. Just the same. You have lots of people, calling themselves strength conditioning coaches and things like that, when they've no qualifications in it whatsoever. But because again, there's no regulation there, they can kind of get away with it, if you like. So I think a big part of it is also just communication between different professions as well, which I don't feel myself personally happens as much as it could do. So just making sure that we are speaking with the other professions and actually making them aware of what we can do, rather than them just being like, oh, they just assume, so some might assume that it's just purely just, some massage work and that's it.
Do you think there's some educate? Because I get the impression that most of the public, they like just to go to one person for everything as they can. They get that relationship, that confidence. So maybe we need to change the idea that Joe Bloggs has, that to solve this problem, I may have to move between 2 or 3 people so they can get the best service. What do you think? Are people open to that, or do people like just homing on one person for everything?
Yeah. Sorry, go on.
No, I was going to say that, when I was in clinical practice, I kind of used to offend myself if I had regular clients, because I'm thinking, what am I doing wrong? Somebody go, I'd like to come and see you every month. I go, but I don't want to see you. I want people to come in once or twice, give them some, empower them to do their own rehab and then go away again. And yes, if you need to see me in a couple of months' time, ring me up. I'll remind you what the advice I gave you at the time was, and then you can ring me up in another 2 months. So it's a really difficult one. We're all different as therapists, because our whole life has turned us into the therapists that we are now. Have you seen Jack's on form? He's given a question to all of us.
Chris, should we bring one up?
Chris is first, yeah.
Should we go for Chris?
Yeah.
Chris.
Yeah, cool.
Also, I can't do a Manc accent. I'm too tired. Chris, there's a unified accreditation process to appraisal and demonstrated adherence to safety and MSK clinical excellence standards. Would that be a positive for the industry? You have to read that yourself. Made no sense to me. It's his accent.
Yeah, my answer to that, yes. Yeah, I'd say so.
There you go, Jack. I hope that's helped you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and essentially, looking at some of the things that Jack's doing at the moment with MSKR and that side of things are awesome as well. So definitely, if you've not seen that as yet, certainly check that out too.
It's interesting because later on, Jack's almost he's got another question here over to Gary, which says, Gary, would STA contribute to its development?
Yes.
Oh, it's almost like an agenda here. Let me go and see. Matt, would you host it? Yeah, fine. Yeah, I'm free. Okay, that's us sorted out. Good questions.
Can we pick up on Claire's point? How do we get general public to be more aware of where they can go for help? Posters in GP surgeries, perhaps better networking, understanding needed. It's a little bit like the old exercise referral qualification, which I think it's still out there. To me, worthless, because nobody refers to somebody who's got an exercise referral qualification unless you work for a council. Doctors just don't refer. So a GP referral qualification, wow. But I don't think it would be nice if we could get posters in GP surgeries, but I think there's an ethical and a moral point from them, is they've signed the Hippocratic Oath, is it, to and they will only refer to other allied health professionals. Now, going back to when I had my clinic on the same road as the GP surgery, my doctor was a member of the local triathlon club, who I know very well. He used to say, look, I can put you on the waiting list for an NHS physio appointment. It's a 14-week wait, or just call it Gary's on the way out and see if he's got any appointments. So because Martin knew what I did and had faith in what I did, then he would refer, in inverted commas, to me, or recommend people come and see me, A, to take the workload away from the NHS, but B, because he respected what I did.
I think the point off the back of that, there's a key word that stood out off the back, which is the respect element of things, which seems to be within all the posts that come out here, not just in this chat, but in many, many chats across social media and with different people, is that what is it that people want out of regulation, and is it actually that it's going to improve their business, that it's going to allow them to help more people? Or is it that they feel that it's disrespectful that they're not able to get regulation? And that's always been a big question from my side of things.
Emma's got a point here.
Matt, can you remember Brian Huxley?
I can. Let me bring up his face though.
from Manchester.
Ah, yes.
Hi, Brian. Hi, Dan.
Hey, Brian. How you doing?
We used to go to the sandwich shop, when we was working together, and we used to order lunch. And every week I got him. I'd say, "Oh, my dad will pay."
Thanks, Dad.
And I think I was older than him, actually.
It's all about professional networking. There's plenty to go around. It's true. It's a very good point. It's good stuff. We've got, what was I going to say? Where'd he go? Oh, Emma. Yeah, there she is. Emma says, one of her local doctors, networking, talking of networking, one of my local doctors wanted my business cards to refer clients to me because the waiting list for NHS physio was so long, and people needed to be seen sooner. Yeah, I suppose, yeah. You can only ask, can't you?
Matt, will you ever go at Benjamin's question?
Benjamin, let's have a look. What are thoughts on the level 4? Sorry. What are thoughts on the level 4 posture assessment and corrective exercise course? Which is that? Who's that run by?
I mean, I think
it's not a BTEC one, is it, or something? Is that an official?
No, I've never heard of it, but I think that, there is a requirement, a need for a corrective exercise course. There used to be a good one ran by Kesh Patel, Origin Health. Well, that was probably 10 years ago, probably a little bit longer. But I think there is a gap in the market for somebody, Chris, who might like to, put together a corrective exercise course.
Potentially.
Would you call it corrective exercise? You wouldn't, would you?
Well,
you winding me up.
No, it wouldn't be corrective exercise, but people need to understand, because a lot of our members may be personal trainers, and that's where their level of knowledge sort of stops at the level 3. Then we have a mishmash of level 4 courses coming up. Strength and conditioning, for example, Brendan Chaplin's, which is a highly respected course. We've got the level 4 through reps. There is an exercise prescription one there, but I think there is a need for a course, an exercise-based course. Whether you'd call it corrective exercise, whether you'd call it prescription, that's not up to me. But we do, as soft tissue therapists, we do need to understand more, and I know that it is covered on some of the level 5 BTEC courses at the moment as a module.
Definitely for exercise. I just have a problem with corrective. I thought you were winding me up. It's just, in case I'm not making sense to anybody, the whole idea of, and I'm apologize, Benjamin, because I'd assume, and it makes an ass of me in particular, but the whole idea, it's very old school that someone's going to come in and we're going to say, well, this is what's wrong with your body. We need to put it back again so it works properly, because there isn't a blueprint for what a perfect body looks like. We all used to learn that, and there's still some courses which will teach you if you want to cure everyone's problems and make their shoulders level or their hips level. But you've only got to stop and think, hold on, I've seen plenty of people with wonky shoulders and hips and they're fine. They're great athletes. In fact, to be a great boxer, you've got to have something a bit. Most sports, you're going to be more developed on one side than the other to be good at that sport. So this whole idea of chasing symmetry is one of the things which, we're trying to kind of evolve from and move on from, because it leads us down a path of old kind of traditional, let's bend you back into this shape because this is the perfect shape. But yes, it sounds like just kind of what's the word when it's semantics and stuff, but it's an important point, and you'll understand maybe a level 4 course should make that clear and call itself something a bit different maybe. But
Mike James has cleared that up for us. Actually, there's no need for a course. The opening lecture at RUNCHATLIVE conference.
Well, thank you. That's very nicely in there, Mike. Apparently I can't call it RCL anymore. It's not SEO. It's not optimized at all. What is RCL? Doesn't show up anywhere. It's rubbish. Stupid idea. Wish I'd known that 3 years ago. Thank you, Google. But anyway, yeah, thanks for that, Mike. It's true. But it's RUNCHATLIVE with a gap in the middle, so Run shows up. Well, look, people, it's 9 o'clock already. I hope, as always, this conversation can continue. I'll let Sangoyal have the final word. Pura, thank you very much. I don't know what that means, but I thought I'd put you in there because it's the last comment on the page. Thanks, guys. I think we've tackled the question. We've definitely had some input onto why statutory regulation is not necessarily going to answer all our questions, and 2, the fact that it's a nirvana anyway and probably never going to be achieved. It's just too political and too difficult. But yeah, I think the highlight of it has been, let's look at things we can change and how together we can, together being the important word, kind of let the people know more about what, in our case, sports therapists can do. But the process to that is working with others, as always. Who would have thought? Communication and networking is the way forwards. Chris, you're our special guest for tonight. Is there anything you'd like to say to close up? Anything you're involved? Oh, you've changed, haven't you? Not you physically. You never changed. You just...
over the last hour.
No, but you've Tell us briefly about your rebranding.
Yeah, so I've changed to so endurance therapy and performance, just because it says what it is on the tin. So I've kind of homed down into, I've worked with endurance athletes for a lot of years, but yeah, I made the decision to recently step away from the movement hub with Kim Tomlin, who's doing an awesome job and will continue to do so by herself. So yeah, I've started up my new venture. As of the beginning of November, basically. Leeds based. So yeah, it's exciting. Still teaching for Mike Grice as well, doing the movement therapy education. Movement therapy diploma. So we have Birmingham, Liverpool, Leeds, the 3 training schools. So it's awesome to have that opportunity as well to deliver what is a fantastic course that he's put together.
Fantastic. Your name seems to come up a lot from other therapists who look for advice. Are you officially entering kind of mentor capacity now? Are you happy for people to call you? And
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I really enjoy it, to be fair. Like I actually genuinely like, I get excited for people, and I like using a lot of questions as well. And you know, I use a bit of NLP with people and things as well, and it's ace. I really enjoy it. So if there is anything that I can do to help, by all means, please get in touch. I'm more than happy to have a chat.
Brilliant. Fantastic. Gary, anything to add to this?
Yeah, just welcome Chris to the STA, actually, as one of our newer members, after his departure from the General Osteopathy Council. So welcome, Chris, and yeah, doing some good work in the West Yorkshire regional group up there. I'd just like to finish off by saying apologies that I'm not commenting on the comments. I'm not responding to them at the moment. I can't do it on the tech that I've got at the moment. So I'll go through the messages tomorrow, and I will link, as I've said, to the government white papers, the HCPC and the Professional Standards Authority. So anything that I've referenced tonight, I'll put in there tomorrow for them. And thanks again, Matt.
No worries. It's cool. We'll be back next week. Right, I'm going to say goodbye to you two, but I will come down to the lobby shortly. I'm just going to dismiss this lot. So yeah, I'll catch you in a second down the lobby. Thank you, Gary, and thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Hide. Right, thanks, guys. That was good. I'm hoping. I think there were some people who maybe didn't expect to hear some of the things they heard in there. So hopefully it's made you think. Definitely, it's been a chance for us to communicate and learn from each other. Always great. I mean, there was, I think, 61 or something people in here, which is pretty heavily, amazingly good for a live thing. I know you guys have got many other things you'd like to do, but it's really for myself, for Gary. Oh no, that's only me hearing it. It's no one else. So I thought I'd had an old senior moment then. But yeah, it's lovely to see so many people in, and it's a real credit as well to STA and all the guests and Gary, the founder, and everything, to have so many of you actually giving us your time to come in. So thanks very much. Louise has reminded me that, thanks for enjoying it, Louise, and thanks for coming in, Acre. And yes, she also says you can't see it on the comment, but it is Run Chat Live conference next week, believe it or not. Next Friday. Is it really? 28th? Yeah, not this Friday. Next Thursday and Friday is Run Chat Live conference. Oh my God, number 2. And it's all online. Just to remind you that there is an STA 20 discount code. Go now to Therapist Learning. Remember last week we had Malcolm Sloan on, the fantastic Malcolm Sloan, who was talking all about therapistlearning.com, and we've got 2 very fortunate members who are in the process of being informed they've won an annual membership to that fantastic source of CPD. But yeah, therapistlearning.com is the site. Just type in Run Chat Live into the courses and it'll come up either in English, which I imagine most of you want, but if you are watching this on the catch up on YouTube and you happen to speak Spanish, then there's also going to be simultaneous translation into Spanish if that's your mother tongue. Then that's available too this year. At the moment, I'm not too worried, but I remember last year, it wasn't until about, I think the day before, I actually broke even and realized I could start buying the speakers a drink and that. So there's bound to be a last minute rush where people actually get their tickets. There is a bandwidth thing because we're doing it all on Zoom. There is a limit to it. And at the moment, we've got about 72 places, which I would love to fill up. Happy days. But if you are, there will be a cutoff point, okay, where simply we haven't got enough bandwidth and we can't use Zoom for too many people. So if you are thinking, umming and ahhing about it, then just do it now if you can, rather than running the risk of not getting in, because that would be such a shame. So yeah, STA 20 will get you that discount. And it is next Friday, Thursday and Friday, all day long from 9 in the morning through till 5:45 at night with 10 great speakers, including, as you see, Mike James here tonight. And also people like Matt Fitzgerald. If you enjoy running, obviously you'll know Matt Fitzgerald. Ben Cormack is going to be there, Emma Brockwell, Nick Knight. We have got Alice Sanvito from Missouri St. Louis talking about massage for runners. Trevor Pryor heading the podiatry front. So it's multidisciplinary. We've got Claire Minshall, strength and conditioning. It's going to be fantastic. Obviously, I'm biased, but I've tried to put together 10 speakers who are going to deliver some fantastic presentations. And we're going to chat throughout lunch as well. So if you can, take the day off and just get a Tupperware ready, because we're going to have guests dropping in and chatting all the way through the day as well. So yeah, there we go. So I'm hoping we'll obviously be back on Tuesday as well for another chat. But get prepared, because next Thursday and Friday, if you can manage to get the day off, then come join me on the computer for 48 hours, basically. The ticket does get you the recording as well. I've had a few emails saying, I can't make the whole thing. Do I get a recording? And yeah, you do. I mean, you buy the ticket and that's it. That will give you perpetual access to the recording as well if you miss a few or you want to catch up with it afterwards. So that's what that's all about. Right, my voice is going. Let me get rid of that. Right, so thank you again, people, for joining us. We will be back next Tuesday. In the meantime, maybe points to take away from today. Does your social media actually let the public know exactly what you do? Maybe a little kind of CV thing or something, just which breaks down what you do. Do you take pride in your current description of what you can do? Do you make it clear what you can do? Are you working with other people? Maybe contact a few people who you know in your area saying, you know what, I've been watching this show and I think we should work together a bit more. Maybe start networking. Try and make a difference. That's what we try and do. One thing from the Massage Collective was, I like at the end where Becky or Matt or Anna Maria say, right, I can't remember the catchphrase they use now, but it's like putting it into practice or something. And I want to start doing that in these shows as well. In fact, I should have really typed out beforehand, putting into practice. But things, every time we finish one of these shows, I want to hopefully that people have got the right, I'm going to put something into practice now, something I've picked up from today. So today's putting into practice will be networking. Make that call, contact the people in your area, see, can we be working together a bit more, especially with COVID coming up? And 2, just making it clear exactly what you offer on your social media. Is that cool? Right. Thanks, guys. Still going on inside there. Still 39 of you chatting away. And may it long go into the night. We'll see you next Tuesday. And thanks very much again. And take care of yourself.